Hey guys, Griffin here, and today I'm going to be talking about the group finder tool and how to fix it. But first, please take the time to like and subscribe as it really helps me out. Also, if you want to see me playing live, check me out over at twitch.tv/griftinish. You can also see me on YouTube as well. Okay, so let's talk the group finder, the tool that was hated before it was created. First, my fix is not going to be bring back random dungeon finder or implement the retail version. I know it's easy to say that, but Blizz is committed to this, so at least for now, we have to grin and bear it. And since we do, there are some problems with the system. Now, I'm not just going to be complaining, I'm also going to be suggesting solutions to each problem. So let's go ahead and get into this. First, if you aren't familiar with the group finder, this is it right here. I'm going to kind of walk through how it works. You select your role, you choose the type you're going to do. So if you're a dungeon, you click dungeon, and then you select whichever one you want, gun drag through on keep, whatever. And then you can put like a note, because I'm a feral, I'll type feral. And then I can click list self. It'll put me in the queue right here with those two. And then I can go back. By the way, it would be great if I could unlist from here. It sucks at it, but that's not on my list. Anyway, delist. Okay. So let me uncheck that. Minimize, just so everything's clear. There, everything's back to normal. Once you're in this group, you can see all the people, you can see if groups have been formed, and you can see their role, as well as their class, their name, and what they're queued for. So there's no groups right here, but normally you'd see a group, it would have like a crown, kind of like the one they use for like whoever the party leader is. It would show up right here. There are no groups here, so you won't be able to see it, but that's essentially how it works. You can either invite people, just do a group invite or send a message, or if there is a group already formed, you can actually request to be invited. That's pretty much it. You can, once you're in here, change to, instead of just looking at what you're signed up for, you can look at all dungeons, like by clicking there, and see what everyone signed up for. So like they're right here, these guys are trying to do Violet Hold, and they're looking for, it looks like a healer. And then this one, it looks like they're looking for a healer as well, and there's no healers, so they're probably just gonna sit around for a bit. But this is how it works. Oh, they found somebody, congrats. This is how it works, and yeah, it seems fine. Now, the way programming, at least software development in my world, works is you do something called an MVP, which is like a minimum viable product, something that will allow people to do the stuff but isn't perfect and needs reworking. I assume that's what this is, because it does allow you to do the thing you need to do, and I get what they're going for, but it's missing a lot of things and it's got some bugs. So I'm assuming that's what they're doing, and I'm making this video to show what I think the shortcomings are and how we can fix it. Okay, so let's get started. We're gonna start all the way back at the beginning. Okay, so the first problem is you aren't restricted to specs you can viably be. So I, as a druid, could technically sign up for all three of these because I can play all three roles. But so can a rogue, so can a DK, so can anybody who plays anything. You can have priests sign up as tanks, warlocks. In fact, I don't know if it's still in there. There was a warlock signed up as a tank just a second ago. I must have missed it. And it's kind of annoying, because if you're using the roles to determine who they are, you can't. You actually have to look at the role, then look at the class, determine if you think that class can do that role, and then invite them. Also, you have to make sure that whatever you're inviting them to, they can do. That's what that list is, says Lich King, Heroic Dungeons, Drag Through on Keep. That's what they've queued up for. This guy's got a lot more, as you can see, so you have to make sure. Now, if you've selected one, let me show you what it looks like now. I'll select Drag Through on Keep, because I know there's one there. When I hover over them, it's in blue, so I know, okay, they're all willing to do the one I want to do. So yeah, good stuff. But because you're not 100% on the roles, they really need to restrict this. I know it's like a brain dead obvious, like, yes, they should restrict them, but it's not done. So I'm sure in their next iteration that'll be the case, but right now it's annoying and I'm adding it to the list. Okay, next item is default spec choices keep changing. Okay, this is a little bit weird, but with each spec, so this is my DPS spec. Yeah, I don't know what. Okay, sure, this is my DPS spec, and this is my tank spec. So I mark role here and role here, so that way it can automatically figure out when I join a group what role I'm trying to play. This is usually the problem when you see a group that's got like 3 tanks. They never fix this, because you have to manually do this. It doesn't figure it out on your own. You can click it and just change it to whatever you want. I've got mine set up, but even when I set them up, they seem to change on their own. I'm very particular about what spec I am. But even if I don't, it should use something here. But if you send up for 2, how do they know which one you are? So they use this instead. But a lot of times I'll send up for tank, but I'll be in DPS spec doing testing or playing around or having a good time, because why would you run around in tank spec if you've got your DPS spec? So I think what they need to do is fix this so it makes more sense, or when you join the group, it'll prompt, hey, you have 2 roles, choose one. Or when you're invited by the group leader, they select the role you're playing for you. There's also an option when you're in a group that you can request everyone determine their role by like doing a little prompt, and it just checks a box. I think that should happen automatically when you join a group, or automatically when you invite someone to a group. The UI is already there, pretty easy fix. Okay, so the next problem, and this is probably the most frustrating for me, is you don't know what you're saved to. So right now it might look like I can run any of these heroics, but I can't. That's what it looks like, but I'm saved to a bunch of them. In fact, if you press the O and then go to raid info, I'm saved to Utgard Keep, UP, Nexus, Calling of Stratholme, AN, Halls of Lightning, and Violet Hold. Now, in order to remember that, I have to remember that, because I can't open this screen and the UI for Group Finder at the same time. So if I've got this list, I have to then jump over here and then, okay, I'll check all of them, and then I did AN, Halls of Lightning, Calling of Stratholme. Oh, I think I got it. Nexus. No, I didn't do Oculus. Utgard. And I definitely did Violet Hold. So I can really only do those 4. Now what should happen is there should be little padlocks over top of these, because I shouldn't be able to run them. Not because of my gear score, but because I literally cannot go back into Ajal Narub because I'm saved to it. And I think that's really important, and it's a big feature that's really missing, especially like me. I've been running a lot of dungeons to get some badges to see what kind of gear I can get, and it sucks when I have to come here and constantly open up this, click this, memorize it, and go back, and then figure out what I can and can't do. It's a small change. It did that in the Random Dungeon Finder. They could easily do it here. Okay, the next problem is LFG Channel. So there's a chat channel called Looking for Group. So they're looking for healer for Violet Hold. Now, they make it so you can't type in LFG, like I am not listed. So if I type, hey all, oh, I don't want to do caps. Sorry, one sec. Hey all, it's not going to work anyway. I don't know why. It says you must be listed in the Looking for Group system to send messages in this channel. Click here to list yourself, and then it just takes you to the same thing. Okay. That is a good start at trying to limit people from just talking about political views for hours and hours. By the way, it doesn't help. People still do it, even on beta. But here's the alternative problem to that. So let me go back. I'm going to click custom and just type, I am a troll. I'm going to select that just for fun. By the way, you don't have to select any of these, which is weird by itself. And see, people just joining custom just to hang, just to chill out. It's just a common thing people do to bypass the looking for group restriction. I like the idea of it, but it essentially bypasses the whole point. They might as well just let anyone type in looking for group. Now, a solution I came up with, which I don't know if it's 100% because I kind of thought it through, but not fully, is there are 5 sections. There should be a channel for each one. So at least you're restricted to whichever channel people sign up for. So if someone's queued for a dungeon and they're in the LFG dungeon channel, it makes sense. If they're queued for a raid, same thing. And that way they can't just go into custom and do exactly what we did, which is just add ourselves so that we can chat to people and harass them. I'm assuming is what people like to do. So yes, that is a problem. They need to restrict it. My idea is channels. I'm not 100% on it, but like that's all I could think of is separate channels for each one of these. Okay. So the next problem is the list is too long. So let me go back to dungeon because that's usually the longest list. Okay. So this is the list right here. Now this is filtered by no activity whatsoever. So these guys are clearly looking for a tank, I guess. And I don't know what they're running because as you can see, they're still queued for, 10 things. Annoying by itself. But also, I know that's a group and they put the groups at the top. Oh, they got a tank. Good for them. But it does kind of get annoying when you're looking for something in particular and you have to scroll, especially because this is the beta and there's not as many people on here. Once they go to like a big server where like the list is just like, and you're gonna see just DPS roles all the way down. And yes, they do sort them. They go tanks, then healers, then DPS, and that makes sense because tanks are highest priority, then healers, and then DPS. But what they should do is add more filters here. They should make this whole group finder longer to share more information, and I'm going to explain that too. But then also add filters up at the top. If you can select looking for group or looking for more. So if you're looking for a group, if there's already a group formed, you can see what groups are available. Or if you're looking for more and you're already in a group, you can see all the singles. So you can quickly, if you're in a group, look for people that aren't in a group already and grab them. Or you can even, if you're in a group and you want to see if there's other groups that are already formed, you can do that too. Because that's a great option. Another thing is choosing the role. If you want to be able to just, hey, I just need DPS, and you select DPS and you can quickly see, okay, here are the damage dealers. I don't need to scroll past all the tanks and all the healers to find them. And also class. I know this might sound a bit frustrating, but like not just a drop down to select a class, but a checkbox to select specific classes. We are running Nax 10 and we needed someone to slow down the ads in the dog. I can't think of his name. Scrobulus, is that right? I don't know. It's something with a G. I never remember his name. But we needed someone to slow, and we wanted a mage or a hunter, and you have to go through and look. And imagine this list is way longer. It'd be great to be able to do a drop down where you can like check multiple things, kind of like how you could do something like this, just like this, but for classes. I think that'd be super powerful, and it would make this filtering system way better. Now, once this is stretched out because you've got your filters, then you can start looking at information sharing much better. We'll get into that in a second because there is an item I want to add right here, but we'll talk about it, and I want to jump ahead. Okay, the next problem is getting notified. So let's say Harlot right here, who is a shaman tank apparently, and they want to run Nexus. I can click on them and invite them. Now what they're going to see is the same thing that they'd see if I just went to this guy and clicked on him and invited him. Literally no difference. It doesn't tell you what I'm inviting you for. It doesn't even tell you that I'm using the group finder to do the invite. It tells you absolutely nothing. Or even what your role is. Hey, I'm inviting you as a tank or as a healer, which I think should be part of the whole process. So I click invite, and then it says for what role, because maybe they have multiple, and I say DPS, and it says okay, and then for them it would say you're being invited as a DPS. That doesn't happen. It's literally just invite. So yeah, they need to create more communication between that step and invite, so people know what they're being invited to. Because if you think about it, let's say I'm a gold seller. I see you in the listing, because again, I can just join custom, look at the listing even if I don't want to, and I can just start, or I don't even need to be in this to view the list, but I see that you're waiting for a group and I just want to invite you, and you're going to accept because you assume it's for a group form, because there's no reason why you wouldn't assume it because the information's not there. So they need to fix that so that you're aware it's coming from the group finder tool. You're being requested to be a DPS, a healer, or a tank, so that you can immediately switch to Spec. And also it'd be great if they also let you know what instance you're running, because if you ever get invited to a group, the first thing that's going to happen in the group is someone's going to say, what are we running? Because you've joined this group and you have no idea where you're going, what you're supposed to do. It'd be really nice if the group finder said, hey, someone invited you to run Nexus with them as a DPS. Do you accept? Yes. That doesn't exist. Now the other half of that is, if you're in a group, let's say you have a group of 4 and you're the leader, and someone can right click and click request invite, and they can actually invite themselves. I mean, you have to accept it, to the group, but you don't know if they are the right spec you're looking for, because again, people don't sign up correctly for anything anyway. You don't know if they're even unsaved, like, available for the instance you're planning on doing. There's no communication there until after. Now, before you say, yeah, you can just whisper them, nobody does. Like, I get invited, I'll sign up for this, I get invited just blindly all the time. I do whisper people, I just want to point out, I whisper people every time and say, hey, do you want to run Nexus Heroic? And they'll say yes. And if they don't respond, I don't invite them, which is the next problem. So let's say you do invite someone. Let's say I invite I sucks at PvE. Perfect. I want to invite this guy. So I'd click group invite. Now I've already got a group of 4. I just need one more DPS. I click group invite, and he's spaced out and went AFK or whatever happened. So he's no longer available. I don't know that. I have no way of stopping that group find from happening. Like, I literally have to wait until the timer, which I think is like 2.5 minutes, runs out and before I can invite another person when he's clearly AFK. Now, a solution they found that does a workaround is when you invite someone and they're not joining, you can turn it into a raid and invite another person. And then once you do that, you can then shrink it back down to a party, which will prevent his invite from working, and it will delist you automatically. A lot of steps to just bypass that. Honestly, what they should do is, again, because this screen is going to be longer, they should have a, like, let's say I invited Harlot, it should show that I invited them right here with like a little circle timer, and then inside the middle of the circle is cancel. And I can click the cancel and it will stop inviting them and allow me to invite someone else instead. That would be huge for those little bugs, and I think the timer should be much shorter. I mean, it doesn't have to be, because if you have a cancel button, you can just cancel it. But honestly, like, whatever it was for Random Dungeon Finder, I think it was like 30 to 45 seconds. That seems about right. But yes, those are the big changes that I think they could make to Random Dungeon Finder, or sorry, Bad Habit Group Finder, in order to make this a more viable product and people can stop complaining about it, because it's so easy to complain about this because it's just got so many weird problems to it, so many like missing functionality steps. Most of them are pretty easy. The 2 that I talked about where you send notifications back and forth for when you invite someone or when you request to join a group, that would take probably some more UI work or some dev work, just because you need to be able to have all the information to send. You have to create a channel, send the data through to the other person. It kind of works like a hidden whisper to send that data to the other person. All that stuff probably needs to be developed properly, and that'll probably be what they do. Now, for all I know, they're fixing this right now. They're working on this, and in a week, all these problems will be gone. But for right now, at the end of July, I think is where we are. Sorry. Yeah, at the end of July, none of these problems have been fixed. So instead of it just saying, oh, we need to bring back Random Dungeon Finder, we need to bring back the retail version of it, I'm saying, hey, fine, we're stuck with this. Please fix these problems. Yeah, if you guys have any questions or any suggestions on how to fix some of these that I didn't point out, go ahead and throw them in the comments. I'd love to hear people's other suggestions, and hopefully the devs one day will view this and say, hey, you know what, we should do that. But thanks for watching, guys, and as always, take care.